Sure. All right, I think we're live. I just want to ensure the one on Binance is on, um, which is me wanting to show you that the market is quite bearish on euro, and we'll start talking about that in a jiffy. Right, just exercise a little bit of patience for us while we ensure that the connection is well secured and we can have a continuation into what we're discussing. Right, today we want to talk about the ABC of trading, all right, which would definitely inform our decision of what aspect of trading we want to embark upon, right, so that we can be on the same page in our whole market bias, right? Very, very important. Just waiting for this to come on now so I can essentially have a peek at what we're doing here, right? Yeah, just a minute. I believe it's going to only get better. Just exercise a little bit of patience. So sorry, you have to exercise a little bit of patience. There's some issue with us here at the back end which you're trying to resolve. So our network speed on our end is very, very poor. And we're trying to see how to get it effectively sorted out, right? So just a little bit of patience, please. This is a live chat, right? Just exercise a little patience. I want to ensure the Binance part of this connection is well, it's live. And this is taking too long than I expect. I don't know what to call or to make out of all of this. It's almost 10 minutes, literally almost 10 minutes of trying to know what's up with the connection. Okay, I think we'll get it now. I think we're in the room and we'll definitely go live now. Okay, I think it's gonna start now. You'll be able to have access to the discussion we finally started with. Thank you so much for waiting up to this very time. It's a whole lot of issue back on the network at the back end here, and just to ensure that there's a seamless transmission of what I want to discuss. Meanwhile, the discussion today is basically about demand, exactly demand and supply, and all the backstories about the smart money concept, right? Which you want to talk about in the entire presentation today. The entire presentation is just a story of the market, right? And now it's the basics way of trading is not anywhere different from ABCD, right? There are rudiments. Let's start with that. There are rudiments that are very, very quintessential for trading, right? Very, very important. These rudiments must be set in place for us to see the future of trading become something that everyone wants to be so desirous of, right? Very important. So if those rudiments are not in place, and I tell you, we definitely might not see cryptocurrency. I mean the entire foreign exchange market pair being in tune and being in the right shape, right? Very, 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 very important. Now, having said that, I want to start with taking you back to the higher time frame and then continue from where we stopped. Meanwhile, if you've not joined the previous episode, I'll tell you to please check out episode 1 on this on this platform. Very, very important, because we've set a set of structure that would help us flow, right, and grow into understanding the basics of trading. So this particular presentation hopes to cover four core issues. Number one is the issue that has to do with the smart way of understanding demand. Number two, the smart way of actually making the most as regards what's it called now, the most as regards um, supply. And number three is about the ICT model, which is very very important, and I won't say creepy, very very important to making a realistic profit in the foreign exchange market, right? You want to understand that there are some things that necessarily in their own way defines what and how the market in itself will react, and the market itself is only a function of all of these reactions. So that's the truth. The market itself is only a function of this reaction. Alright, so you all want to know that, right? That the market itself is a function of this reaction, and the market will not just take on decision, right, out of the blues, and every of the market response is a reaction to whatever the price action in the market is really telling. And you want to take note of that important fact before you begin to call on any trade you want to take, right? You want to check out how the market is taking its own decision and its move or of buys and sells based on every of this factor, because the market is a function of this factor. I'm telling you this. 1.23, 1.12. I'm sorry, I'm actually on a live trade now to ensure that the stop loss is there, because those are important pegs to actually define a good trader and of course from a bad trader, no matter how good the market might be, because sometimes it goes against you, sometimes it goes also towards the direction. 1.1234. Yeah. Yeah, so I want to just ensure that we have those actually well labeled, and then we have a very clear reality on where we're expecting the market to take us to. All right, that being said, I think it is actually important for me to start by saying welcome to this live stream again. So sorry about the old technical delay. My name is Elgio. You can call me David, right, whichever one you know me as is cool and fine by me. Today we had a release of the news, which is of course the one I still have open right, which is the prelim UOM consumer sentiment news, a very strong news that actually defined the market reaction as of today. And we are watching how the market is carefully reacting to this news in a very strong perspective, and we are wanting to know what will be the fate of the foreign exchange market. Meanwhile, today we want to really talk about demand, a smart way of understanding what demand is all about, and smart way of actually taking the most as regards supply also, so that we can be essentially on the same page as regards demand and supply. So everyone is actually wanting to understand what demand and supply is, and it's not like just the fundamental way of you drawing trend lines like it's been drawn here. What makes a point or a place a demand zone? What makes a spot a supply zone? What makes us look at the spot and say, okay, fine, this is a strong supply and that's a strong demand? What makes us feel that way? Two things, right? There are two things that make us look at the charts and say, fine, we're in a supply, no, we're in a demand, and this and that about the market. And one of those important reasons is because we want to check out what's up with the order block and what the market is doing in its own perspective. Now I would make you understand what I'm trying to say. Let's start with this. Now look at this chart. Now if you're used to pattern trading, you would actually have related with what was drawn towards the left hand part of this this diagram. What you see there is a rising wedge, a clear-cut rising wedge. What could be the implication of a rising wedge? What is a rising wedge? A rising wedge, one of the patterns that are used by I would say pattern traders, let's put it that way, to know what the market will be doing in its own perspective, right? That's very very important, in its own perspective as regards the movement and the the retracement, the push up and the backwards movement, right? And the market is going in the wedge, in the rising wedge. A breakout of the rising wedge gives you a clue that the market is bearish. Once it breaks out, you wait for a retest. If you don't know what a retest is, I'll be talking about all of that in this presentation, and I hope you all find this presentation interesting, not only interesting but of course educative, which is the whole essence of this entire discussion, right? And yeah, I think it's the very fore and the very core of all we're learning today, because if we don't learn how to really take realistic trade, and I think the whole essence of this class is actually basically aborted. So we want to start by what's the demand. Let's start with this. Now you look at this chart, right? You're seeing this me writing this place as a demand zone, demand zone, demand zone. When the market broke out of this demand zone, now look at this, the market was beginning to buy. A demand zone is simply a zone where the market traded into and begins to buy from. That's a summary of what a demand zone is. You just don't want to think a demand zone as something other than that, right? That is a demand zone. A demand zone is a spot the market gets into and it begins to buy from. No matter what it is, the market begins to buy from that zone. And that spot is a very strong spot. The market essentially respects and knows that at whatever interval, the market will always be buying from that critical spot, and that spot is as critical as anything the market want to do. So no matter how the market is moving upward, sideways, downwards, the market will definitely buy from that spot. That's a demand zone. So I hope you all are taking note of that, right? And I want to ensure that we are definitely on the same page in this discussion we're making, so we can actually have a better understanding of what exactly we're saying. So a demand zone is a spot the market begins to buy from. No matter what it's been doing all along, the entire price actions, push back. The demand zone is a spot the market finds a reason to buy, and there are reasons the markets come to a point. Now, what makes a demand zone a smart demand zone? This is the initiation of what our discussions and cycles, right? It initiates what our discussion and cycles, and I think it's very, very important, right, in our own opinion, to state that, see, if you would call this spot a demand zone, there are things you want to see. Number one, you want to see how it has been consistent over the years. Let me put it that way. When I mean over the years, I mean for a long time, how it has been consistent in sustaining that spot that you're watching as a strong zone. I will show you what I'm trying to say. Now look at this point here is a strong zone. This point I marked and I write demand zone. Now it's colored green, right? Slightly green. The market from this point, are you seeing my cursor? The market pushed upward, it bought, it got there, it sold. Now the market traded back into the zone. When it broke above the zone, it retested the zone and it bought upwards. It came back there, it bought upward, because if I extend this particular rectangle, you see the market has been coming towards that spot. There is a historical proof that the market is having every reason to buy from that spot, and I think it's important for us to state, right, that the market will always respect that zone as a strong comeback, as a strong strong reason to actually keep up with its buy. That's the demand zone, right? Now, having explained that as a reason why we're thinking that is one of the stronger proofs of why a demand zone is a demand zone, then we have to also go to adding more reasons why a demand zone is a demand zone. Number one reason I stated, the demand zone is a zone that has been proven to be a strong reactive zone to buy orders. Now I want you to take note of that definition. It's a strong reactive zone to buy orders. Whenever the market comes to that zone, it just has no choice than to buy. Whenever it trades into that zone, the market has no choice than to buy. Now, having stated that, it's because so we can have a better purview in redefining, I would say, what a demand zone is, right? So we can have the understanding of why a zone is buying. Now let me make this is a daily time frame, because there are time frames in the market, right? Now let me make it a little bit broader. We name this zone a demand zone, right? And if you look towards the extensive part of the right in this particular rectangle, let me remove this whole wedge, blah blah blah, and then have a better look at the market. Now look at this. Now you understand a bit of the drawing I drew here later on. While we all continue, it will all make sense. I tell you, I bet you will understand everything, and this will actually make more sense to you as an individual, right? Now just look up. I want to be so sure that we're on the same page. Sorry. Yeah. Now I call this a demand zone. The market, look at this. Let me pick my cycle. I'm picking my cycle from the left bar. I think it should be somewhere around this brush zone. Yeah, the cycle. Now, so see this. See this. See this. Now, the market has given us The market has given us every proven reason why the market has to buy. There are triple touches on this spot, which make that point a very strong demand zone. And in a way, this can give us a clue to understanding the conclusive conclusion when it comes to we analyzing this market. In a way, we can basically say Euro USD is essentially bullish, honestly, and trading this coin towards the short side requires every sense of extreme care. I'm very serious. So if you don't know that, then you have to know that from this point, that there's a need for every extreme care to ensure that this market is being traded, all right, carefully as a what do I want to call it? Well, I think as a sell, because the market is strongly bullish. I must tell you, it has every reason to be bullish and not to be bearish at all. And that's why in this trade, although I'm scalping a short on Euro USD, but of course it's still going to be very tight stop loss, because I think that it is very, very bullish. And of course I am looking at an intra trading time frame, which for me, I'm thinking it's a reason to actually look to considering the market either being being bullish or being bearish, or whatever it is you want to think of, right? It's very, very important. So yeah, now like I said earlier on, the market is extremely bullish on Euro USD, and we have to be very, very careful. Now the demand zone, like I said, is a point where the market gets to, and you have a reactive buys, very strong reactive buys, and markets keep wanting to buy from that spot. It has every reason. It's pushing, it's pumping, it's having this, I don't know how to say this now. If you look at the current price action of Euro USD in the lower hour time frame, you would see how the reaction is being so strongly bullish, just pushing and finding a reason to want to keep up the buy prayer. That's the crazy thing about this. And so you all can know that the market is extremely bullish on Euro USD, bullish on every major pairs. Now we've explained that the first thing to really look out for is how it has proven in the course of record how that spot is a very strong spot for a buy. Now, aside from that first important reason, the second reason to look out for a spot as a demand zone is the availability of order block. Now let me leave Euro USD entirely and come to a very clean chart, right? Let me look out for which charts? Let me see. Okay, let me look out for one of the coins we have here. Let me BNB USD. BNB, of course, that's the native and the utility token of the Binance Smart Chain ecosystem. So looking out for BNB. Boom. So what do we have here? BNB USD Binance. Let me open that up, and I hope you all learn, because you will have to learn something very, very important now. All right. Welcome everyone. Then you have this. Now we've talked about fair volume gap, and I think we're still going to be make a little bit of reference to fair volume gap in this presentation of ours. I'll tell you. Now look at this. This is BNB. Now if you ask yourself one reason, ask yourself whatever your name is, and say, Ayo, let's say your name is Jaden. Hello Jaden. Ask yourself, Jaden, why is it that BNB in this particular spot has been having not only spikes, but it's been strongly keeping up a upward push? The common answer you would give yourself for that reason is that the market on BNB within this zone is bullish. I don't know how to explain this, right? The market within that zone is bullish. By bullish I mean there is a demand, right? Just like the economics or whatever it is you might have learned in school, you have demand telling you the market wants to go upward. Or users wanted to get more of that particular commodity. And now the truth is, what you're seeing here is the market placing a demand on BNB. Now, for you that you've understood fair volume gap, you will know that the market, for every reason, should come to peak liquidity right below here. $62, $100, which it can still do. Don't forget, because when it breaks the demand zone, it has every reason to push into that creepy zone upward, right? It's important for us to state, right? Now it's very, very necessary, right? Very, very necessary. Now why are we saying it is very, very necessary? We're saying it is very, very necessary because we think, in our own opinion, All right, we think that the market is trying to find a cause to go upwards, and that's the basics of demand. Now, aside from having a repeated pattern, or a repeated structure, a repeated zone of having a buy or having spikes or having pushes upward as a proof of that zone being a demand zone, there are other reasons, which is the second one I want to highlight, which is order blocks. I would show you some, then would proceed in this discussion, and I will explain what order blocks is, because that's the thought essence of this class. So the first touch, picking my cycle from around the region where you have the rectangle of the brush, you would have this spot. Boom, it happened exactly on Monday 22nd March 2021. The second touch around which we have a stronger push is on June, Monday 2021. It's been sort of funny repetition, Mondays and Mondays. I don't know if the third one will be Monday, but of course it's a possibility. This one here, of course, is also a Monday. Can you see that? Monday 17th July 2023. So within the space of 3 years, we've added 3 multiple strong touches on this demand line, right? So that's something to think of. So that makes us to think, fine, don't forget this is a weekly chart, fine, and then okay, of course we have the thought, fine, this has proven to be a demand zone based on multiple touches on sustained buy orders at that spot. Now the second thing you want to ask yourself again is that, are there other blocks? Other blocks, what are they? I'll just spot examples of other blocks. The current thing forming on BNB right away now, this kind of candle, is an other block. This, now I'll just show you some examples, right? And I think I'll essentially use some markups to make you see them more clearly. Sorry, don't worry, I'll change the color so you can have a better viewing, right? Just wanting you to see what other blocks look like, right? All right, let's make this like this. Soup. Just look, what do you have there? That's one other block, because there are bullish and bearish of the block. That's an example of bearish of the block. I will explain that later on. This is a bullish of the block, and then you have another bearish of the block here, bearish of the block, which is going to be similarly stronger. And then there's a lot of them. If you already know what I'm really drawing out right now, you can really resonate what other blocks really look like. Another other block here. So that's a lot of other blocks. So you might be asking yourself, hey David, why are you now drawing all of these? How are these going to be a definer of what the market is going to be like? I mean, how is that an order block? How is that impacting the market? How is that going to be defining what we should see essentially on how is that going to be defining what we should see, right, on the market chart? The truth is this: if we don't understand what the market has been doing over the years, we might be not only at the mercy of losing grip of what the market will do now, we might also not understand what exactly is the demand structure, because we need multiple confirmations to prove a demand zone, a potential reliable and sustainable demand zone, because not every demand zone is a demand zone, right? Cool. Now, so order blocks are important elements of demand and supply zones. Basically, we introduce demand zones, right? And the smart way of having a demand zone is, number one, we have a proof of multiple touches, and number two, we are also having what we call order blocks. Now, take note of that. We are continuing what we're discussing. Don't forget. Now, the third thing the second thing we want to make mention of is supply zone. What are supply zones? Now, you might want to take important note of this entire definition of supply zone, right? Very, very important. Supply zones are the zones the market gets into and the market begins to sell, right? Those are supply zones. There are no bigger definition of supply zones than that. Supply zones are zones the market gets into and the market essentially begins to sell. There is no two-way as regards what is a supply zone. If you ask me, hey Gerd, what do you think supply zone is? I'll tell you, this is this about supply zone. There is no back and forth. Don't not necessarily put a struggle around what a supply zone is and what is not. So I'll show you what supply zone. Every area you see the market selling from is a key supply zone. This is BNB chart. and I want to show you supply zones. It's in every chart. You would see a zone because the market always lives on ups and downs, buys and sells, supplies, and of course you can actually answer the response demand. That is a supply zone. We've had the first touch here. Basically, we've had just the second touch here. The first touch was in what year and what day and what month. Picking my cycle. So that is the first supply zone. Monday, 17th May 2021. All right. The second supply zone is also Monday, all right, December 6, 2021. We've now had a third supply, right? But of course the market has been selling. It's a creepy sell on BNB. Now what you're seeing here is how we are sort of wanting to know basically if that point is a probable supply. It's when BNB trades into that particular zone. Two things can happen. It can either break above it or crazily come below it. Whichever one is all players at that time. But for the meantime, every reason is giving us every call to expect BNB to pump towards that side in days to come. Do you understand now? So, and of course, for us to believe that zone is a strong supply zone, we don't only have it proving its repeated pattern of multiple touches as regards a sell, we also have other blocks to affirm as a sell. Now the golden question on your mind is, what are other block? What are other block? What are other block? So now other blocks, are you ready? Yes, come on, let's continue. So other blocks are overlapping candles, right? I want to write that in the chat box, so just permit me to enter into the chat room and write that away. Other blocks are overlapping candles. Very, very important. Other blocks are overlapping candles. All right, other blocks are overlapping candles. That overshadows its side candle. So sorry, okay, all right, the overlapping candles overshadowing its right. That's something very important. Okay, all right, so that's what other blocks are, either to the bullish side or to the bearish side. Come on, look at that. We already know, like if you've been following this class, I spoke extensively about the fact that the Bitcoin market is going to be crazily bullish. I'm expecting Bitcoin to enter $33,000 before the end of this month, and there are every reason for Bitcoin to trade into that upward zone. It looks creepy, but of course it will happen, and I hope we are definitely on the same page. Now so what I'm saying is the fact that other blocks are such zones where you have overlapping candle, either bullish or bearish. If it's a bearish of the block, you have the red candle overlapping the buy candle. Come with me. Of course, as you can see, the gray candle is the buy candle for me, and what you see here by the side here is the red candle bigger than the sell candle, making the zone a sell order block. Now, so that is called the bearish of the block. Right now, this is another one. The sell candle is bigger than the buy candle, making that zone also a bearish order block zone. Now I hope you're together with me. As much as we have a bearish order block, we also have a bullish order block. Look at this zone. Now this candle is a very big weekly candle, but of course it's a bullish order block. This week BNB was bullish, right? This was a month before the dump. That's September into October, November the dump began, 2021. So one thing you want to say is that at every other block, there is a way the market will keep a respect for that point. When the market trades that zone, it will either leave at a week. Look at this. This is the other block we were talking about. Let me put my cycle there. Now you see how the candle reacted to it. You have this candle wicks. Are you seeing that? I hope that's big enough. Let me make it 2 pixels and then make it a line. So you see that the market reacted to this other block to week, and in every other block you just have the market reacting to that as and with a week in a funny way, right? So this is a candle wick reacting to this other block. This is the other block, right? So this is the candle wick, and I would really write other block right there so you can understand what I'm talking about. So you have this, and I'm going to write in other blocks, right? Cool. I believe we're on the same page. Means yeah, definitely, and I hope you all are seeing that right. Very, very cool. So it's making every sense of sense for us to really see and realize that the bearish of the block is a overlapping sell candle sitting by the side of a bullish candle. That is a bearish of the block. So, and that's the truth. So, in other words, a bearish order block is a overlapping sell candle sitting by the side of a buy candle. The bullish order block is an overlapping buy candle sitting also by the side of a sell candle. Very, very resourcefully important, right? Take note of that. That's very, very important. So now, having understood this, how can this help you with trading? We're going to be taking it one step at a time. There's no rushing. The series is going to be for a long time. What we've understand is demand and supply. Smart way to understand demand and supply, and we've also spoken, right, about other blocks. We've shown other blocks. So when you want to take a trade, either buy or sell, I'm not saying you should go start right away now, but I'm saying you want to look out for the demand zone, right, and of course the supply zone. And after looking for the demand and supply zone, you also want to look out for another zone, which I think is important, and that is the zone where you have the demand or the supply zone where you are finding the other block. So those zones make the market trading make sense, and I hope you really get that part right. So let's say you go look for another coin. Let me look for another coin. Like now, for example, let me look for XRP. Right, it's been trending. Very, very important and creepy crazy necessary for us to check this out, right? XRP. Let me look for a chart I've not possibly analyzed. And so looking at this chart, right, this is a weekly time frame. XRP is on 0.7756. A strong buy is on XRP, right? You can see it. So you can easily mark out the other block, right? Easily, right? You can, without the aid of anyone coming to assist you and say, you know what, this is how you're gonna do it, how you got to do it. I think everyone can basically now say, okay, fine, I think I now know where exactly the market is going buy from, the market is going sell from. I mean, looking at this, that without any detailed analysis, right? I think that's in fact a very good kudos to you if you can really get that. Because if you pick your rectangle from the left bar right here and you draw it all the way from this bottom, you see that, okay, fine, XRP up to this point made that zone a critical demand zone, and the market is buying from that zone. This is demand zone 1, so you can actually double click on the rectangle and write inside it demand zone, so that as you go on with your analysis throughout the whole chart, you understand how to respond to interpreting that zone, right? Because you analyze from the highest time frame to the lowest time frame, and that's how you keep up with your analysis as a trader, day or swing. All right, because those are the two types of traders. Then you have on that zone here, right, you've marked already. That's a mistake. That wasn't supposed to be the 2, that was Fibonacci, and I've just picked rectangle, right, and this is a demand zone. So you see XRP has broken out of this demand zone, right, and it is definitely responding to a supply zone there. It's possible we've not seen another block, but definitely there would be some other block somewhere inside, possibly in the lower time frame. I hope this really makes sense to everyone that's been learning. So 2 key things. Now I would see this zone as a potential buy zone if I want to buy XRP. If I spot my order block now, for example, I want to take a long position and I've already spotted XRP doing this. I won't talk about that, but I'll just introduce what we call this. We call this a break of structure, and I won't talk much about it today because that's not part of our whole discussion. Just assuming it never exists, I'll talk about that later on, so we don't make ourselves jump out of the old process. We are structurally and carefully making and understanding what the market's all about, right? I'm making this 14 font so you all can see better. Right now I see XRP breaking the structure, and that's mean a break of structure. Of course that wasn't going to be part, but I think that's a good lesson to learn. And then I think fine, I am going to look for other blocks where I can set my order, because order blocks are where you set your orders, either your buy orders or your sell orders. Institutional traders, banks, and of course big whales set their orders as order blocks where they want to sell or buy the market. They don't just buy out market like most of us, the retail traders, do, right? They look out for those order blocks, and those are their targets to set their buy limit or their sell limit. I'll make this interesting. And I wish, okay, let me even do that right away. Let me see if I can quickly log into my Binance account right on this presentation. All right, if that can quickly respond to us, and I promise you we're going to be entering that, and I'll show you what that means without any hassle, and how that is going to be interesting. Because now, for example, I spotted this break of structure. I noted my demand zone right below, which I've already marked out with my purple rectangle. In fact, I would write it, if I were you, I'll write demand zone, isn't it? Now, so that I'll always take note of that, and it will always be at my face. Now I looked for another block all along here. It seems as if I'm not finding. I don't know if you can find, but I can find one right away. What I often do is I go to the lower time frame. The next lower time frame to the weekly chart is the daily time frame. What I'm gonna find is an order block to check out for. Now this is the breakup structure. The next order block is sitting here at 0.3803, and for whatever reason you're seeing XRP not coming here, right? XRP seemed to be sitting very, when it traded to that higher point and it retraced a little, because when the market comes down a little following a push upward, that is called retracement. And when the market retraces, it retraces a step so it can launch further. And if you haven't known that, you should know today that the market retraces. For that reason, whenever the market retraces, it retraces so it can go further. So don't think the market wants to close. All right, so now that's something very, very important. And that's the truth. So whenever the market retraces and goes further, then you have the uptrend, and you have I'll talk about uptrend, our types of trend in the ABC of technical analysis. I think that's going to be the next important discussion we are going to be doing. Now I want to look for order block in this demand zone. The order block I found is here at 0.37879, right? What I would do is I would write it like this, and I will mark it out, and I'll write order block, or better put, because of easy understanding, OB. The order block there is plus OB because it is a bullish order block, just so to save time and stress. Now you have me writing that as plus OB, meaning it is a bullish order block. The market should come here, but the market sometimes will not come here because of the strategic price action and demand to supply zones. We would explain about this later on, which definitely I think I will not only take note of that, but I will have it well grafted towards our next class, which is introducing us to trend lines and price actions plus demand flip zones. So that is something I think we need to really take into consideration. Introducing us to trend line, introduction to trend line. all right, trend lines, all right, and price actions. All right, price actions for demand to supply flip zone. With this being said, I think we have achieved the essence for why we're having this discussion, which is basically we saying that the market, we have explained demand, we have explained supply. Even though it's a short time, please, I hope you have learned one or two things. Demand zones are zones that have already been proven as a buy zone over time, not once, and supply zones are zones that have already been proven as a sell zone, not once. And we have our confirmation not only by the mere repetition, but also by the order blocks that are easily formed around those zone. Why is the market buying from 0.419? Why didn't it come to this lower point we're expecting at 0.38? These and many more are the questions that our next presentation is going to be answering. Please, looking forward to meeting you again. Thank you so much. I remain your friend El Giot. Please keep following, keep liking, keep subscribing. Of course, we're only going to get better in our presentation. Thank you. Take good care of yourself. Bye.